Hi everyone, this is Argentina. I hope you're having a great time and welcome to my series of expert talks here at Art of Seduction Boudoir. One of the things that I want to do for all women that reach out to me is to give you more than just boudoir photography to help you feel empowered and confident and become the best version of you. And one of them is this series of interviews with experts that will be able to help you to have topics and things that you might be interested in. Some of them would be about careers, other ones would be about self-growth, nutrition, your health, habits, formation of good habits, relationships, dating, etc. So for the first series of this year, I want to introduce you to this interview that I just did with Dr. Zara E. Brown. Zara was a very successful career woman with 3 Fortune 500 companies. She retired as the managing director at Accenture, where she managed Accenture's business process outsourcing for retail clients in North America. Now she is focusing on speaking, training, and writing on topics related to self-awareness, self-coaching, and success habits that enable professional women to be happy, successful, and understood at work. She has written or co-written 3 books, 2 of which are bestsellers, and a customized book, which, by the way, she speaks about this in this interview, is called The Book of You, and she is also a 2-time talker in TEDx. So I met Zara recently in New York and later on in Philadelphia, and after talking to her, I realized that she is offering just great tools that you might be interested in. She focuses in helping career women to really find their passion. You know, what I realized is when I talk to a lot of you is that you might have a job, but you're not really passionate about, you're not exactly happy in your job, you don't know what you want, you don't know what makes you happy. And I find it that it's essential for us not just to feel beautiful and confident, but to also love everything about our lives. And great part of our lives is our career, our purpose in life, what we do at least 8 hours of every day, Monday through Friday. We had to have a sense of accomplishment, significance, achievement, and success in what we do. And a lot of the times we feel lost and we don't know exactly what is it that we want, or we feel that we are misunderstood at work, or we don't know how to advance at work. Well, Zara specializes on helping, career women exactly do that. So I invite you to listen to the interview that I had with her, and you can find her, at the end of the video, she tells you exactly how to get in touch with her, how to work with her. And also I'm going to put in this video, all her credentials so you can get in touch with her. So I really hope you enjoy this series of interviews with Dr. Zara E. Brown. And remember, share this with your friends. You never know who you are going to be empowering and helping and coming into her life in the moment that she needed it the most. So please, I can't stress it enough. Share all this information with your girlfriends, with other females, in your Facebook page. Anything that you can do to spread the word about empowerment, empowering women. Hi, Zara. It's just great to have you here with us. I'm very excited to learn more about you, me and my audience. So why don't you tell us more about how you are helping us women?
Well, it's really a pleasure to be here. So, Argentina, I've worked with mid-career professional women who are stuck in their career, and my job is to get them unstuck and moving in a direction that will bring them a lot of joy and success. You see, in the last 5 years that I was working for Accenture, I kept bumping into women that were obviously in the wrong job, and they were miserable. I could see it. Everyone else could see it. They could see it. They knew it. But when I asked them what it is they wanted, they could not answer the question. And so what I did was I set out when I retired to help these women get very clear about what they wanted and moving in the right direction.
That is unbelievable, because I totally identify myself with what you were saying. You know, for years, my training is as an engineer, and for years, it wasn't bad, but I wasn't passionate about what I was doing. And I found my path, but I talked to a lot of women, and a lot of them do find themselves in a situation that, it's just a job, a really don't know what else to do. So they're kind of lost. So tell me why is it that women find themselves more in this situation than men?
Well, I think the reason is because they spend so much time, particularly in their 20s and early 30s, focusing on the needs of their family, focusing on others. And they start to lose touch with what it is they really want out of life. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that there comes a point in time where they look around and they say, all of a sudden I've got time.
Yeah.
And I can think about what it is I really want to do in my career, but I've lost touch with what that is. And I think it's a habit. It becomes a habit of thinking so much about the needs of others that you forget to think about what it is you really want.
Oh, absolutely. That is one of the main reasons that I hear, women that come to me to do a boudoir session is, for the last 20 years, all I did is raise my kids, worry about my family, my job, my kids, and nothing about myself. And so we get lost in the process. We're very giving creatures, and we've been taught to put ourselves last. Yeah. Pretty much. We had to give everything, otherwise we're being selfish, or we're being bad mothers, or bad wives and all that. So I totally agree with you, and I think it affects our career, our path in life, and our happiness. So what is your approach to help women to answer this question?
Well, to answer that, I got to go back and tell you a little bit about my observation of these women in the last 5 years that I was in corporate America. Because I noticed that some of them were getting out of this rut. And they were the ones that were hiring coaches. So I got really curious about what these coaches were doing. And so I decided, well, if I'm really going to understand what these coaches are doing, I need to hire a coach myself. So I got a coach. And I learned that what they are really doing was helping their clients get in touch with what made them special, what made them unique, what their unique interests and strengths were, and then supporting them in creating goals that only they could dream up, and then taking action steps towards those goals. And that's what my coach did with me. But the thing that was interesting is that it all started with getting very clear about who you are and what it is you want. And that's work that only you can do. The coach can't do it for you. Right. The coach can support you along the way, but the coach can't tell you what it is that's actually going to make you happy. So what happened is as I was struggling to answer these questions for myself, and I was not miserable in my job by any stretch of the imagination, but I could not answer a whole lot of these questions myself. I had familiarity with a personality assessment called the Berkman Method. I've used it in my work as an OD person, organization development person before. It's been used mostly in the C-suite, but it's been used for over 50 years and for 3 million people. So it's got a pretty reliable track record. And it's very good at pointing people in the direction of getting clear about interests and strengths. But the reason that I use it is because it has an added component. It helps people get in touch with their needs, what they're expecting from other people. And this is what's important about helping us to find environments, the work environments that are going to keep us out of stress. And so with the use of this Berkman assessment, I was able to get very, very clear about my interests, strengths, and needs. And I am using this approach to help people get really in touch with what makes them unique, and then how they can figure out what they want based on that.
Oh, I totally agree with you. That's amazing that we sometimes it's right under our nose and we just don't see it, but it starts with knowing who we are. And, we're so focused on everybody else and keeping children alive and working on the marriage that we don't get in touch with ourselves to get to know us, who we really truly are, why we do what we do, what do we want out of others, out of ourselves. And I feel that a lot of us, we find ourselves in a place in our lives in which we're like drifting, which is going through the movements. And that's no way of living. So I think when we have a purpose, a career, something that we are passionate about, is essential for our happiness. So I understand you told me about this amazing book that you have, the Book of You. Tell us more about it.
Well, the Book of You is designed to be a coach in a book. So it's designed to help an individual get very clear about who they are. Mm-hmm. So it's based on the Berkman Method assessment, and an individual will take the assessment. When I get the data back from that, I can generate a book all about that individual, unique to that individual, with information that is specific about that individual, and then take them through a unique process to help them get in touch with it, to get clear about what are their passions, what are their strengths, what are their needs, and how do you translate that into career happiness and success. So that's what the Book of You is all about. I have 3 books right now in the series. There are going to be many more. But right now there's one that's focused on finding a job that's right for you. There's one that's focused on improving a job you're already in, which is where I suggest people start.
Right.
Don't start by changing everything. Start by improving the job that you're in. And then I have one about looking at significant relationships as well.
Oh yeah, that was gonna be my next question. How can this actually help you also in other areas of your life? So you actually touch bases about your third book would be about relationships.
Right, and it's actually based on it. I call it a book of 2 instead of just a book of you, and it takes data from 2 individuals and it puts them together, and it says, okay, here are the things. Here's where you're similar. Here's where your potential conflict points are, and here's some suggestions on how you navigate these differences and synergies between the 2 of you.
Oh, okay. That's pretty useful. There's gonna be, like, as you said, like therapy in a box. In a book, you self-coach yourself.
Well, I would call it a coach in a box, not therapy in a box.
Okay, that's what I meant to say. Coach in the box. Yes, coach in the box. Okay.
Yeah.
So, can you give us some stories about people that have used this method?
Sure. So one woman that I worked with, we'll call her Kathy. That actually happens to be her name, but I'm allowed to tell this story. She found herself out of work unexpectedly and did not know what she wanted to do next. And so she took this assessment, and got a Book of You and started working through this and realized that, hold on one second. Realized that there were 2 real distinguishing factors about her. One is that she needed an incredible amount of freedom to chart her own path and to do what she wanted. And the second thing is that she needed a lot of time outdoors. And she has now patched together a series of entrepreneurial ventures that keep her outside, keep her busy, and doing things that she decides to schedule on, nobody else decides to schedule on. So she's got a dog training and a dog walking business.
Wow.
And she's got a catering business, all of which keep her out and moving around and give her the freedom that she needs. And she is happy as a clam right now.
Oh, amazing.
So that's one. And another woman that I've worked with by the name of Dana, Dana had an extensive amount of PR background. And she became very, very good at writing as a result of that. So one of her strengths, which came out of just years and years of work at this, was writing. But what she needed was a job that allowed her to work one-on-one with people, not so much being out in front of large groups of people. And she came upon the idea after going through this process and understanding herself better, that what she needed to do was ghostwriting. And what she has done is to start a business writing memoirs for people and for companies, telling their story. And she does the writing, and she is just having a marvelous time right now doing that.
Wow, that's a beautiful passion, because I mean, including myself, like I'm in the process of writing, a couple of books, and my passion is not writing. I don't even know where to start with. But I would love to have somebody like her, like, okay, here's my recordings, here are my notes, or here's my interview. Let's just do it for me. So, and she's passionate about it. I find it so interesting how I always kind of like saw that when you find your passion and you turn that into a way of making business, that's what truly makes you happy. And for me, I wasn't really, into photography really. It just came to me. I picked it up as a hobby after my divorce. I just needed to keep busy with it, but I really started to really liked it. But the real passion came when I started to work with women one-on-one, doing boudoir photography and seeing the transformation. And I mean, I guess I was just lucky that it fell into my lap. But I did have this uneasiness at my job as an engineer, that I'm not fulfilled here. And I didn't see myself staying there. And I actually, for a while, I thought about changing careers. But then the whole photography took over. It's like, oh no, this is much more fun. So I think it was a strike of luck for me in that respect. Any other stories that you have that you want to share?
Well, I can tell you a story that has to do with relationships and work as well, because one of my clients who was an entrepreneur, still is an entrepreneur, is perfect to be an entrepreneur, was thinking about going into a joint venture, and really did some work, didn't even do the book of two, so it wasn't so much that, but she did an awful lot of work on herself and realized that what she needed to do was to stay solo. And so she avoided, it just got very, very clear to her that this was not going to work. And so she avoided all of the trauma associated with starting something up and then having to wind it down, because she got very clear about what she wanted and needed and realized this wasn't going to give it to her.
Yeah. Man, the power of having clarity, it's unbelievable, right? So yeah. I think that, we're into something about helping women to get clarity about what they want, because same thing, like, what do you want to do? I don't know. What makes you happy? I don't know. And it is, they know, we just need to give them the tools to help them figure it out. But we all have the answers inside of us, as you said. A coach cannot do the work.
Coach can't do it for you. But what is very helpful about an assessment or a tool like the Book of You is that it gets you pointed in the right direction.
Right.
And it gets you really thinking crystal clearly about what makes you unique. And the other thing that's interesting, and this is one of the things I've discovered about coaching, which I've built into the book, we have to do it ourselves, but we can't do it alone. True. So even in the book, even though it's a coach in a book, I have exercises in there for you to go do with other people. Specific things. Go talk to your person who's going to serve as your coach and ask them this question, or get them to ask you this question.
That's true. I mean, some others' perspective from people from the outside. People perceive you in a very different way of how we perceive ourselves.
Exactly.
And that for me has been very valuable when I ask, like my sisters, who are the closest, the easiest ones, that I can just call them and like, hey, I'm thinking about this, or this, going into the past, one of our stories of childhood, trying to find my own obstacles, why I feel in certain way, why I react in certain way. And it always surprises me that their perception of me is so different. But it always helps me a lot, because we might think that we're doing the right things, but people from the outside, how they perceive it is basically the energy we're sending out. So we might think it's okay, but maybe it's not the best. So that's
that what I have found about interest, strengths, and needs is this: we are pretty good when we get focused and we get a tool pointing us in the right direction. We can be pretty good about getting clear about our interests. We are lousy at understanding our strengths. Strengths always come from other people's perception of us. And needs tend to be hidden from us and from others until we don't get them met and we act out. But when you can interact with somebody about what I call a derailing behavior, which tend to comes from needs not being met, others can help us get clear about what the underlying need is.
What do you think would be like the biggest challenge for somebody to actually do this exercise? I always believe that first you want to have the desire to change. And I think one of the biggest obstacles is the fear of not liking what you find inside of you. That is a fear.
Yeah. But I will counter that with, what's the alternative?
True.
You are who you are. You were born with your natural gifts. You can try to be, if you're a dog, you can try to be a cat, but you're probably going to be a very poor meower.
Right.
So you might as well be the best possible dog you can be and learn how to bark eloquently.
True, and be the best dog you can possibly be. That's what I tell my clients. I'm here to help you become the best version of you, not somebody else's version, but the best version of you. And this is one of them. I mean, for me, it's I support them in their self-image and body confidence, but it's all tied up together. Your job, your family, your relationships, your relationship with your kids, with your family, is all tied up together. And I think that this about your career is very essential. So, Zara, what else are you doing besides the books?
Well, I'm speaking primarily to audiences of women, but not just women, about these concepts and how they can learn to coach themselves. And I'm running workshops using the Book of You inside companies, and I'm running some public workshops as well to actually take it to the next level. What can you do with this, and how can you start coaching yourself? So speaking in workshops is primarily what I'm doing on top of the Book of You.
Okay. And are there any other ways that an assessment or a coach, to get clear about your interests, strengths, and needs?
Yeah. For interests, because we are the best source of information on our own interests, you can get pretty close to or pretty far along just by writing down 20 things you love to do on one side of the paper and 20 things you hate to do on the other side of the paper, and then rank them. And then the top 5 things that you love are going to be getting close to pointing you in the direction of your passion, and the top 5 things you hate are going to be things that you ought to stay away from. So that's one thing you can do to start getting clear about your interests. For strengths, since we are not the best judge of our strengths, what I say is the best thing to do is to go ask 10 people that you've worked with and ask them this question. When I was at my best, what was I doing? And then just be very quiet and write it down. And the thing that's interesting about strengths is they're situation dependent. So things that we naturally do are going to be strengths in one situation, but not be strengths in another situation. So when you're asking people about this, you're actually capturing what you were doing and the situation in which it was, in fact, a strength. So you can begin to get clear about your strengths that way, but you get the data from somebody else. And then with needs, the best thing, remember, they're often hidden from us and they're hidden from others as well.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing to do is to think about the times that you were really, really stressed out. And think about what was the need in that situation that was potentially not being met. And then how can I go about getting that need met? So those are things that you can do on your own to begin to get clear, even without taking an assessment.
Mm-hmm. So, I want to go and talk a little more about, your TEDx talks. But before we go into that, I want to talk more about how you help women with their coaching. Do you work one-on-one? Do you just do, how do they can get in touch with you, work with somebody wanted to work with you? It's like, I love what Zara is saying. I really need help with my career. I want to know more. How can you help them?
Well, you can go to the website bookofyou.com and you can reach me there. There's a contact page on there. So that's the best way, but you can also pick up some tips. But I would say if you're really interested in working through this, find a partner to go through this with, so that can be your coach after the fact, and then come to one of my public workshops or come to one of my corporate workshops for that matter, or reach out to me on my website and I'll find a way to get you slotted. So bookofyou, BOOKOFYOU.com.
Awesome. Okay, so I want to hear more about your TEDx talks. I'm big fan of TEDx, and great things come out of that. So tell me more about that.
Well, my first talk was how to be happy, successful, and understood. And I did that in probably close to 5 years ago. And so it explains a lot of the concepts we've been talking about today. But my second talk was called What My Job Taught Me About Finding a Romantic Partner. And it's been picked up and put on TED.com since I did it as a TEDx talk. So I'm really excited about that. It's a humorous story about how I met my husband and how interests, strengths, and needs came in. And it's essentially about the hiring process and how it mirrors the screening process for finding a romantic partner, and how we got clear about our own interests, strengths, and needs in the process. And I guess it's got some validity because next year we will have been married 25 years.
Wow. We need to do another interview and just talk about that because, most of my clients are 40 and up, and a lot of them, especially women after 50, they're over 50. What I hear the most is they want to find the life partner. They've been divorced for a while. They reach a point in their lives in which they're happy with what they have accomplished, except their love life. They want to have a monogamous, committed, and amazing relationship. They're ready for that. And then they find all this frustration about, the pool of men out there in their 50s. And, in my perception, I totally agree with them because the older we get, the harder it is to find, men available, or, we're so set in our ways. It's harder it's different. It's different than when you're in your 20s in college, both learn together. But I think that one of the biggest trends or tendencies that I hear when I talk to my clients about their frustrations about finding a partner is that they themselves are not doing work on themselves to become the type of woman they need to be to attract the men they want.
And another person is not going to make you totally happy if you're not happy with yourself.
That's another thing. Yeah.
So, and the more you are happy with yourself and going about doing the things that make you happy, the more you're going to be happy with a whole host of different people.
Right. And I think one of them would be being very happy at your job, at your career, at your business or prospects and discovering yourself. And that's one of the core things that I do by helping women, by doing boudoir sessions for them, helping them really be happy with their physique, with their bodies, with their beauty, not being like, oh, I'm getting old, who's gonna want me anymore? I'm too old for this. Like, no, we gotta embrace this. And I think that's what makes us confident and sexy. And men get attracted by confidence. So I love that. So is it 2 TED Talks you've done?
Yeah, 2 TEDx talks, and one got picked up by TED.com. Yeah, the second one. Mm-hmm.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so can you say again your website and how you can help women to get guidance with their careers?
All right, so my website, the best way to reach me is on Book of You, that's BOOKOFYOU.com. There's a contact page there. And I am working with women, predominantly women, mid-career professional women, get them unstuck and moving in the direction of their dreams.
Fantastic. Well, it was such great having you, Zara, and let's get in touch again. And now let's talk about, I think you're a pile, just a treasure of information, and that my audience would be just delighted to hear more, from you. So we'll have to set up something again. All right.
Well, it was a lot of fun talking with you. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you so much, Zara.